Welcome to the Float Podcast, an entrepreneurial journey. My name is Nick Janicki, once a wide-eyed hippie with purple dreadlocks, and now the founder of the True Rest Float Spa, the fastest growing floating franchisor in the world, and CEO of FloatPod Technologies, the industry leader in float pods. Follow me along in my entrepreneurial journey with what will become the next billion-dollar industry to enter the health and wellness sector. Let's connect with world-class athletes, actors, musicians, doctors, industry experts, and explore the mindsets of powerful entrepreneurs. Let's get this floating party started. All right, this is awesome. We just got back from the 2015 Float Conference. It was amazing. It was on fire. There were close to 500 people there. I think the last number I heard was 460 people, somewhere around those lines. And it was really just so heartwarming to see so many people in the float industry come together. I feel like a lot of the old grudges in the industry are dissipating. We're coming together as a collaborative unit, and we're driving the industry together towards a vision, towards something that's more spectacular than any one of us as an individual. And so I was talking to a lot of people at the conference this year, and from where it was 5-6 years ago, there's 25 of us. Myself, some people from my team, Graham, Ashcon, Glenn and Lee Perry, of course, Michelle. There's a couple people, just 25 people sitting in a room 5 years ago. Last year, we had about 350 people come to the conference. Year before, right, I think it was around 280, 300 people, I'm not sure. This year, though, nearly 500 people, but it was just night and day. The energy there was tremendous. And I have to say, if you're watching this video and you have not been to the Float Conference and you have any interest at all in the float industry, as someone that floats, as someone that has a center, as someone that manufactures pods or is looking to get into the industry in any way whatsoever, go to the Float Conference. The 2016 Float Conference, I know, is going to be huge. We're coming with our whole team. We're bringing a giant presence, and it's just getting very, very exciting, especially if you're running a center. I know one of the things I talked about at the conference was how to track your marketing, how to stabilize your business revenue, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but then I want to get into what other people had to say at the conference. So we went around, we interviewed people what their main takeaway was from the conference, and my takeaway was the growth, the energy, the fact that this came from something so small. From in 2009, you're looking at roughly a $4 million a year hobbyist industry with maybe 15 to 20 stores in the whole United States. We were just in Time Magazine, who showed us that there were about 80 float spas in the United States in 2011, and one in Canada, one center in Canada. It's crazy. Now, at that point, we're 2011, about a $20 million a year industry, or movement, or hobbyist industry, whatever you want to call it. In 2015, once we round out this year, there's 270 centers in the United States and 56 in Canada. 56 in Canada from one in 2011, and we are approaching a $100 million industry. This is ginormous. We will be a $1 billion industry in the next few years. I am just so excited. There's so many great things coming, but if you open a store, do your marketing, track, do memberships, have a recurring revenue stream. There's so much. Watch our video from the Float Conference that we'll be releasing as a separate video on our YouTube channel. A lot of great information there, but here's some awesome takeaways from the 2015 Float Conference. I'm here with Mr. Graham. He's the conference organizer for the 2015 Float Conference. It has been absolutely spectacular, and I want to know, what is your takeaway from the conference?
Kind of like being blown away, I guess, is like my takeaway.
Right.
I've said it to a lot of different conference guests during the weekend, but you kind of forget when you're getting everything all planned and ready for the event, because it's so overwhelming that it means that you get to hang out with some of the coolest, most intelligent, creative people in the world, really.
Right.
So every year I start getting this stress building up, and I float as much as possible leading up to the conference.
Smart.
I don't really have time to float during it.
Sure.
And then all the guests start coming in, and it feels just like a float. Like everyone starts arriving, and it builds up to the hundreds and hundreds of people coming in, and it's like it's walking around in the daytime, but feeling like you're just surrounded by people in a float tank.
Right, that's awesome. Here with Mike with Float House, and basically what we're doing is, you've come to the conference. This is your 3rd year in a row?
4th year.
4th year.
Yeah.
Just as I. And what is your biggest takeaway?
This year for me, the biggest takeaway has been just the culminating energy of all the people here. I feel it's gone to another level that I didn't even expect it to get to in terms of enthusiasm, collaboration, just mutual respect and love. It's super powerful, and it's just completely recharged my tank.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And that happened last year too, and I get so excited when I come to the Float conference, and knowing that that's going to happen, but not knowing how it's going to happen. And when I leave, I just can't wait to get my hands back into the tanks, back into the salt, talking with people, and keep it rolling, because these are momentum generating experiences.
Right.
It's awesome.
So what is Why We Float? Hashtag Why We Float.
So hashtag Why We Float is going to be a generically branded industry-wide marketing campaign that we're encouraging everybody to participate with. If you have a float center or a float tank manufacturer, and the idea is to get all of our social media platforms and power of all the people we can connect to share testimonial experience of why people float, not coming directly from people already vested into the business, already vested in the industry. We want people who are the customers, who we do it for, just the people explaining why they float, and have that spread. And if we can all do it on the same launching date, then we'll probably get it trending, and it's just going to get more momentum, more eyeballs going. And I think it's going to be a very powerful tool to illustrate why we're all doing this in the first place.
I think what really inspired me this year is the research finding and the way Justin put it across to the audience. Yeah, we've seen and looked and listened to a lot of researchers, and it's a lot of black letters with crosses and things, and we're not that keen on that sort of stuff. But the way that he put that across to the layman, everybody took it on board and understood it.
And it's pretty exciting.
It's exciting.
First time in like 30 years.
Yeah.
And it got disclosed here.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're here with Ashkan, the coordinator of the 2015, 2014, 2013, is there more? 2012 Float conferences.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what is your takeaway?
My main takeaway is not much. I don't know. This thing's kind of whatever. No, actually, I love I'm sure a lot of people said this, but the people here really just make this whole thing very magical. I spend months and months and months just kind of working to put this all together and choose tote bags and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, every single person just arrives, and I get to see people walking around with their tote bags over their shoulder, and it's just a bunch of fun. So yeah, I love everyone coming out. I love meeting everyone. I love that the float industry is basically just like the most awesome group of people to gather into a room. And I will say that every year when we have parties like we did last night, and when we're in these theaters, I get the same compliment from the buildings that we rent out, which is how we are the most relaxed group of people they have ever had an event.
Adam, tell us a little bit about what you coined float culture, and what is your biggest takeaway this year from the conference?
Float culture, it's nice to see a progression in humanity here. I feel like every single time somebody gets into a tank, it's a potential doorway into a new way of being. So I look as culture as focusing on balancing ourselves, focusing on our own spiritual growth, and using the tank to integrate well into our lives. And above that, it's just really this community more than anything.
Right.
It's amazing to see the cohesiveness and the consensus along the route to make this exactly what we all know it is and is going. So, and ultimately, float culture is also just our own personal experience.
Sure. And what's your biggest takeaway from the 2015 Float conference?
The time outside of the speaking has been the most influential and inspiring of my experience so far. Super inspiring to see Ashkan and Graham at the helm of all of this, and what they've done in such a short amount of time, and all the information openly shared is just beautiful. There's no boundaries to the infiniteness of this life experience we're all on. Sharing this community together, experiencing what discovering floating means to each one of us, and sharing our own personal experiences. It's just been
beautiful,
amazing. It's inspiring.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're here with Kendra, who's an expert floater. She floated many, many times in True Rest in Tempe. Now she lives in Portland, Oregon. And we are very curious, what does float culture mean to you? So Adam from Come Float With Us is using this term float culture. And what does that mean to you?
Okay, well I would say that population of people who wants to tune back into what matters most to them, and that is easily done when you eliminate all the distractions that take you away from who you are and what you have become because of those external influences. So I think float culture is just the population that, you know, is, I don't know if you need to say waking up, but definitely, you know, tuning back into what really matters, and that, yeah, is unique to everybody, but I think it's a pretty universal idea that everyone can get behind, that, you know, more love, more consciousness, you know, those are pretty hard to say no to. So.
And I remember your float from many years ago that was like this symbol of love. What was it? What happened exactly?
I was floating and the word love kind of popped out, kind of bubble letters out of thin air. Actually happened.
Bubble letters?
Bubble letters. Blue
right.
kind of fuzzy bubble letters. And I just, I was overcome with so much joy that it was just, you know, an undeniable truth of, yeah, that's what everything's about, and that's something that is easy to forget when you're going so fast all the time in your life. But, you know, in a place like that, yeah, you can just float and remember something like love is everything, and that's the best that there is.
For me, it's the level of information that's here. It's a high quality of information. It shows where the industry's at, where it's going to be. And at our float place in Canada, we just want to stay on par with the rest of people and maybe start leading the way in some other areas. So that's what it is for me.
Cool. And what has you coming back every year?
Oh, it's the people. It's the place. I mean, I love connecting with other floaters. It seems like shared interests are an easy way to connect, and talking about our float experiences and the trials and tribulations of the float tanks and operating a commercial business out of the use of those tanks it's great. It's good to connect and share with other floaters. So.
The most important part for me is to be updated on the research, because it's tough to keep really up to date on that. In addition to that, it's just it's a refreshing experience to come and see all the new people involved in floating. The excitement. It's just it's a reminder of what we're doing and the work that we put in every day to meet other cool, interesting people who have the same passion. And what I take home with me is the feeling that there are lots of different applications and uses for floating, and there's a lot. The breadth and scope of the value of floating and the people that are involved in it is vast, and it's a good feeling to know that this thing's big and it's getting bigger.